Hi, welcome all. My name is Krishnveer Singh. I'm the user, builder, and founder for Listen. It's a great pleasure for us that you have joined us today in this journey which we are starting. What we are trying to do is let's finally solve it. It stands for mental health. How we will do it, that we will share later on. But there are much bigger problems to talk about right now. Uh, So he will be my partner in this journey with you. His name is Emo. He's our virtual companion. He's our friend. But about him later, there are some very important things that both of us want to share with you and which affect all of us. Mental health issues are more common than we think. It's not just the people who are, going to psychiatrist or psychologist. They affect most of us. It's a much bigger iceberg than what we see. These issues are real and all around us. It affects so-called normal people, their work performance, their relationships, health issues, whatnot. And Listen found out one very interesting thing during its primary research, that a lot of people, since they are unaware about their mental health issues, they end up in different practices, whether it's gynecology or cardiology or nephro. So there are many things which we don't know, but they end up in those different places. Uh, but the underlying issue is mental health. Some numbers are even more depressing. 10 million teens are depressed in India, and we unfortunately account for 37% of global suicides. And to make the matter worse, we also have issue where 80% of the things goes undiagnosed. People never get it, and extraordinary events lead to mental health issues like COVID, and less than 50% of the diagnosed people get quality treatment. Now, this COVID has in fact taken the massive proportions. This problem has much bigger now. Some surveys has put more than 70% people have reported moderate or higher stress. But like any other thing, every cloud has a silver lining. Same with this cloud as well. Now more people are seeking help. The awareness and acceptance stigma which Indian society has for a very long time for mental health is now reducing. Yes, we have to do way more, but still reducing. That's the good part coming out of COVID, and that's what we are also trying to do. There is much larger adoption of online mental wellness apps. India Today, a socio-political magazine, took out in June 2021 the cover story on mental health. So we at Listen, I strongly believe that COVID is a watershed movement for mental health, and it's a new normal. And with that in mind, we start this event for the day, which is about impact of COVID on mental health. Let's listen. Listening is very important. Once we listen, then we can solve together. And for this, I would like to invite my fellow colleague, Dr. Preeti Singh. She's Chief Medical Officer with Listen, but before that, she's a esteemed clinical psychologist and psychotherapist with more than 2 decades of experience. She is an alum from NIMHANS and PhD from Punjab University. Now she has joined Listen as Chief Medical Officer, where she is building a strong foundation for psychology practice for Listen, so that our technology, which is the second part by which we are planning to solve mental health finally, can make it accessible to large audience. So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Singh and take it over from here.
Thank you, Krishna, for such a warm welcome and introduction. Need for mental health has never been felt at such a global level in the past with this kind of intensity. And that brings us to today's topic and the concern that as the Listen team, we are trying to bring here. Screen your mental health post-COVID on Listen. Are you suffering too post-COVID recovery? Find out how much and what to do. So let's understand, why is this pandemic a unique situation? This pandemic has been compared to continued cardiac stress test. Cardiac stress test, still after a point of time, it stops. But the kind of pandemic situation we are in, it's just not stopping. And just imagine what it would be doing to our bodies, and to our stress responses of the bodies for that matter. One another unique feature of this pandemic has been the quarantine measures imposed to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. So whether we talk about social or physical distancing, whether we talk about home quarantine, whether we talk about hospital isolation, all of this has this isolation as a base, which has been extremely difficult to deal with across the age group, across the gender, across the occupational strata we're talking about, and everyone has been impacted. So COVID for once has not discriminated. It has hit everyone. So now, as a mental health professional, I also see and have seen institute like NIMHANS setting up a different team altogether who are just looking into people impacted by COVID. So just imagine the gravity of the situation we are dealing with here. So there is going to be a looming pandemic of mental health issues, even when pandemic is over. We just have to do a good stock taking after that. So what has pandemic done to us? It has increased the stress disorders by 31%. It has increased depression by 38%. And it has increased anxiety by 34%. And that's a huge number. Our online consults, our footfall in the clinics, in the hospitals have increased immensely. And that's the reason why we are talking about mental health. Otherwise, we will think that, okay, as Krishna said, a lot of us are not aware what is our mental health like right now. So let me share a couple of case studies with all of you to understand how people are reaching out to us. So this is a 62-year-old lady, why educated up to post-graduation, was referred by the daughter based out of Allahabad for an online consult. And the major concerns were she was fearful of the phone calls and it might be a bad news. Keep wondering, घबराहट क्यों हो रही है? If children don't pick up the phone call, she would feel anxious, she would feel restless, she would have poor appetite, she was not sleeping too well, and she was irritable and would cry on drop of the hat, would have increased palpitation while climbing the stairs, and she would just feel that why is she not able to recover and come back to her normal routine as she did pre-COVID diagnosis. So she recovered from COVID per se, but her mental health was taking time to come back. Her physical health was taking time to come back, which made her extremely anxious. So diagnosis here we made was anxiety with panic disorder. In the case study 2, here is 49-year-old married male. He was an engineer by profession, and he presented with a major concern post-COVID after 2 months. Also was very reduced sleep up to 3 hours, increased irritability, increased anger, having images of his emergency admission. When he was admitted, there were dead bodies being wrapped in his neighboring beds. And he had all those images coming to him even after his 2 months of recovery. And he was finding it extremely difficult to manage all of that. So with which definitely increased the patient's fear, and he also felt that he might die while he was in the admission in emergency. So this has led to a post-traumatic stress disorder, and he needed intervention with mild anti-anxiety medication along with psychotherapy sessions. Can you move to the next slide? Now let's understand what all is hitting us here. What all are the stressors while we are dealing with pandemic? So at a time when the change is the only constant, there are various advisories over the period of time, various precautions, protocols, which keep moving from stages to stages. We can recall from last year to this year how the protocols have changed for that matter. What to do, what not to do, how much to do, to take the vaccination, to not to take the vaccination, who all should take the vaccination. All of that has definitely added a lot of commotion the way we think. Fears of how one can get impacted by COVID, even post-COVID. I mean, any vague complaint is an alarm, is a red flag here. Any breathlessness, it has to be COVID. Any throat, discomfort can be black fungus. So we are so, vulnerable to making our own self-diagnosis for that matter. Shortage of medical infrastructure, ICU beds, ventilators, oxygen, leading to helplessness currently. Now, this definitely we know that the second wave has been extremely turbulent for most of us, for our loved ones for that matter. We have been witnessing all of it all along. And witnessing alone can be very traumatic. something we call it as vicarious trauma, living your trauma while seeing others suffering. There has been sudden and unexpected loss of loved ones. We never thought we will lose them this way. I've had a child who lost her maternal uncle just, a week after her birthday, and she still has not been able to grieve properly. She doesn't know how to talk and whom to talk for that matter. She was not ready for that. She was ready for a celebration with her uncle for that matter. Not able to bid farewell through proper rituals. We have been deprived of that. Managing online work, managing children with their online school and their own emotional challenges, because life is not normal for anyone out there right now, especially children. Confusion because of so much of overload of information about where all to seek help and what medication to hold in advance. Too much of anxiety about all of that. Flooding, of course, by social media and the news channels definitely added up to the agony. Can you move to the next slide, please? So let's understand whether we have been contracted by COVID or not contracted by COVID. But ever since the pandemic has begun, a pre-trauma stages globally has been observed. We are already there. We are all facing lack of predictability, where there's disruption in routine or change in the world timelines are a direct consequence of pandemic. Immobility. Normally we talk about what is the stress response, either it's flight or it's fight. But this pandemic has defeated that whole theory. It says freeze. Now we have the third thing to do now. Loss of sense of time and sequences. We don't know when life will come back to normalcy. When will the pandemic end? When will we go for a vacation? When will we have not to worry about what's going to happen next to our health and to our loved ones? We just see it's lasting forever. There's no end in the sight. Loss of safety. There is loss of physical sense of safety. We don't know where and how we can contract this virus. There is social safety we have to maintain. There's isolation we have to maintain. And parallelly, there have been huge economic and financial losses. We all have suffered in some way or the other, and at least known people who have suffered, big losses and big job losses for that matter. Loss of social connection. So this sudden and unnatural interruption in social connectivity has been very hard hitting, especially for people who have had difficulty in getting tuned to the technology. And there are some people who are it's not possible for them to come to, to understand this technology. So understand the helplessness we're talking about here. So let's understand now common disorders which we are as clinicians coming across. And you must watch out for these for your own self. Insomnia, disturbed sleep, depression, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, phobia, obsessive compulsive disorder, substance use disorder, post-trauma stress disorder, suicide, exacerbation of pre-existing psychiatric conditions. If you're already diagnosed with some kind of a psychiatric disorder, the symptoms have been worsening to a very larger extent. People have not been able to seek treatment properly, compliant with the psychiatrist, and therapy also has been, it's not been that great initially. But now, of course, thanks to the online platform, people are reaching out much more regularly than they would even during the offline times for that matter. So what is the next step that I would want to, to suggest all of us? It's like a self-assessment. Why not go for a self-assessment with a standardized tool, which if you go on the Listen app, or you can easily click the link and go for screening for addiction, insomnia, depression, anxiety, panic disorder, and psychosis. And we get back to you with the interpretation and helping you that what should be the next step for you. Can you move to the next slide, please? Yes, coming on, what to do and how to cope. So one is the promotive role that, okay, overall, we are doing pretty well. We're taking care of ourselves, pandemic or no pandemic. If we have been doing that earlier, we definitely reduce our risk of a lot of things. Mental health will be ensured to a larger extent. In that case, we'll fight better. But of course, we have missed the bus. If a lot of us might have missed that bus. So we have to come to the preventive role. Now, what is the preventive role? Preventive role comes about that we can mitigate the impact of the COVID in the current times. We are more aware. We start undoing the damage right away, and then possibly we will not progress to have a disorder. But yes, for some people, it will have to come to curative role, wherein if you are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, panic disorder, insomnia, psychosis, a post-traumatic stress disorder. In these cases, we will have to seek a proper treatment, which would mean a combination of psychiatric medication also and psychotherapy also. So some few takeaways how to cope. Please ensure that you take good care of your sleep, your appetite, your hydration. You eat well, you have enough nutrition for yourself. Engage in routine activities. Let's understand, thinking all the time is not equal to action. So don't overdo it. Don't keep anticipating and planning about the most catastrophized situations and see that how we can work through all of that. Let's just take as in the moment at a time, for that matter, a day at a time, for that matter, because everybody's COVID journey is very unique. The comparison does not help. Even the doctors might not be able to tell you a lot of those things. So it's important that you play along with a day at a time in this particular situation. Plan gadget-free time, and also when you will access social media. So don't be so urge-based in checking the status of how COVID is across the world and across the country and in your town and all of that. Take a break from all of that. Don't let the guilt take the better part of you. So I have really witnessed a lot of clients coming in saying that it doesn't feel good, that I can enjoy and people around me are suffering. But let's understand, if we kind of bring ourselves prematurely in that situation, our fighting ability would really reduce drastically by the time we actually have to fight. So please conserve your energy. That's very important. Rather help somebody than feel sorry for somebody. Do in whatever capacity you have. Volunteer for helping people out in your community, for that matter. There are so many ways we can do that. Please do some breathing exercises. Om chanting is a great way. Again, practice some kind of meditation if you can. That would really help us to keep the body in a calmer situation as and when we can, and keep breaking the momentum of the stress. Next slide, please. Don't keep yourself in isolation. Keep talking to someone about your feelings, concerns, fears. Ensure as a caretaker you get enough rest too. Try and delegate as much as you can. Ask for support from your subordinates, your colleagues, and your bosses. And if you have trouble coping with work, relationship, children, anxiety, depression, self-harm, please reach out to the experts. Please reach out to listen. We are there to help you out to our best ability, and we'll ensure that for you. Thank you so much. With that, I will definitely end my talk here, and I will invite Krishna to take this forward with conversation with our very, very esteemed guest, that's Raman Negi. And yeah, thank you, Krishna. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Dr. Singh, before I let you go, there are actually a couple of questions that has come in between. So few things that you have said, I can relate to it very well. So a lot of people around me in my family were getting COVID, and it was a time when I was looking a lot of news and things. So what really helped me to shut myself a little bit over there. And also those numbers, we all are glued to our mobile screens and see how the graph is increasing. It's like you look at the Sensex graph, right? So I think few of those things would be very helpful. I'm sure our audience and the people at large will take a note of it. But there are a couple of questions very quickly I would like to ask them. So one of the questions that has come around is that these psychological challenges, are they temporary or permanent post-COVID?
Right. So, Krishna, there are two things. One is this acute stress reaction, which is temporary, because once you take the individual from the stressful situation, or the stressor goes away, the person comes back to the normalcy. In that case, it is very quickly reversible. But then there's the case where we talk about stress disorder. That's when they will be reversible, but that will take a little more time. That will take a little more intervention in terms of regular psychotherapy sessions. And if need be, in some cases, we might have to, resort to medication. But yes, in both the cases, they will be reversible.
Okay, that's glad to know. Anything that can be curative is much better. There is another question. So one question is, how do I judge my mental health? Not just the COVID part. How do I judge my overall mental health? I can do a physical test, and there is a lot of full body checkup. So that's one of the questions has come from our audience.
So that's interesting. So I guess, yes, of course, people do venture online and go through a lot of tests. But let me tell you, a lot of them are not standardized tests. So there can be people who can just create a list of questions and we don't know how to interpret in terms of the severity. Are they covering that particular domain that we are trying to assess here? Or, so there are a lot of biases that creep in and they're not that reliable for that matter. But yes, we do have some structured tests like, like PHQ-9, GSQ-10 and things like that, which possibly, if we take it, so they are available on the app as well. And if we can take that, we would be able to have a fair understanding about where we are standing in terms of our mental health. So if it is are there no red flags? Good, congratulations. But if there are, it's a milder level, then yes, seek out some, self-help journey, which we have on the Listen app, and if there's moderate to severe, then definitely you must try and see that you can speak to an expert. Along with that wellness journey, you definitely should go through that part of it, but also take time to talk to an expert and take a guidance further, how you want to take it forward. That would help.
No, I think thanks, Dr. Singh. This is very helpful for all of us. And yes, indeed, while my journey through this, I learned so many of these things and they are very easily available and it's about to know about them. I think the half of the battle is won when you are aware about it. So thank you very much for your time, for your talk. And now I'd like to invite Raman and give a little introduction about him. Hi, Raman. How are you doing?
I'm good, Krishna. How are you?
Cool. So I think quite a few of us know Raman, and for others who are not that initiated, he's a lead vocalist, lyricist, and guitarist of the local Train, a Hindi rock band. There's some great music around. I was listening to it. Their albums have been among the top 5 most streamed rock albums on Apple Music India. But more importantly, today he's very kind and courageous enough to talk about his struggles because he went to some tough times during COVID and post-COVID, and that would be our discussion for the day. So, Raman, quickly to start with, what was your response when you were diagnosed with COVID?
Actually, my roommate, my band member, messaged me one day that he's feverish, and I was like, oh, and this was the peak of the COVID in Delhi, like in like last week of April, and so he got tested, and then after like 2 days of it, I also felt that I had some, you feel like that you get it, you got it, I felt that like, then I got a test done. It came in 3 days, and it was just weird because it was weird and scary because in the news and everywhere it was so gloomy, and it was like nobody expected it to be like that, the whole country. And when you're in the middle of it, I was just shocked and wow, how did I get it? I was at home all the time, isolated, but you never know about the COVID.
No, and those were very scary times. You were more worried about like if it goes bad, where you will find even a good doctor to talk to, leave the oxygen and the bad part.
Yeah. And when that happened, so a couple of my friends who were recovering from COVID, so I started calling them, what's happening, and so it was scary to just think about things, and if something goes wrong, your oxygen drops, or you need to see a doctor in the hospital, or you have to go to the hospital for that matter, how will that happen? And it just gives you so much anxiety, and it just makes you think that, oh, this is what it's come down to. Like you can go, like you can't even think about the wrong things after a while because you just are scared. And you hear so much news from your friends and their families that somebody has admitted to the hospital, or somebody is has low oxygen, and young people, like people my age, people in their 30s, people in their 20s, and it was quite a thing when that happened to me.
So Raman, you were isolated at home, away from your family. As we were discussing, you come from Chandigarh and you were here in Delhi, right? So how challenging was that isolation, and also who supported you during those times?
Well, I think for me the isolation in the sense that the day I got my result, actually before I got my result, when I started having fever, I isolated myself in my room, and and then the report came, and I knew that I had COVID. So I mean, how like I immediately talked to my friends who had the prescription from a doctor with the symptoms, and I started taking that. This is before I got my result. I was just on the meds. I was like, I can't risk it, you know. And but my friends really helped me, you know, like they really, like my band members really helped me with it. And because two of us were sick, and there was one more guy from the band, and we were in the same house, but we were isolated in different rooms because we all have like different rooms, and you know, luckily we all have like our attached bathrooms and everything, so nobody has to go anywhere. And you know, they would put food at the door. That was cool. And also the fact that then I was consulting a doctor, and then he suggested some medicines which were not with me, so I asked my friends to get them for me. But that was a scary time. That was like the medicine shops were out of medicines. It was weird at that time. I remember 28th, 29th April. It was madness. And well, my friends helped me. Our cook, she would send food, you know, at times to us, and that was like people really helped me. My friends helped me when people were there. I could speak to them, and people who were recovering, they could tell me it's gonna be fine, you know, like and stuff like that. But well, I was anxious all the time, you know, taking my feet like temperature and you know measuring your oxygen and whatnot. But people helped me out. Like my friends helped me out, my band helped me out. A lot of people helped me out. That was, although I isolated myself from everybody, you know.
I think that's the way you can help others actually to isolate
Yeah,
yourself and put the mask.
yeah.
Definitely,
Oh,
still,
definitely
please,
double
all of
mask.
us should put the mask. So,
Yeah.
Raman, you talked a lot about feeling of overwhelm, feeling of anxiety, feeling of stress. So, did it continue post COVID also, or what was your overall mental state? Once you were on the recovery path and things were looking brighter for you.
Well, I've I've I felt sick with COVID, and then at the same time, my parents here in Chandigarh, they also got infected. Like I was in Delhi, they were here, so my whole family was like my brother and my mother and my father. They were down with COVID, and I also have COVID, and now I'm recovering in second week of May. Like I knew I was recovering, my reports were fine, but my parents were ill, and that just put me in a very bad place because you can't go visit them, you can't do anything, right? They are all sitting in this house where I'm right now in their separate rooms, and so my day would become like you sleep, and then you get up and you start calling your dad on a different phone, and your brother and your mother, and you start asking about their temperature and what medicines are they taking, and you know, like you match their medical, their doctors are suggesting them, and you are using your thing. And that was pretty stressful for me, like till like May 20th, because my mom was admitted to the hospital because her oxygen dropped, and that was stressful. Like even after I got better, but my anxiety actually increased because what happens, I think, because I'm a singer and I have to sing, and you know, you have to have your voice in place, but I lost my voice. You know, like actually a lot of people lose their voice during COVID and after COVID. So it put me in a very, I was depressed for like a month or two after that, because I could not sing. Like when I used to speak, I used to get tired, and my voice used to go away. And then I spoke to doctors, and they were like, "It happens," but but you know, as a singer, and that's where your life is. That's what your main, you know, how I create my art, by singing and all of that. And that just, and you're alone, you're isolated again, because you're still not meeting anybody, because you know, because you don't have the energy to go out or do anything, and you're resting, but you're alone. So that isolation and the anxiety just I think it just plays on you. And of course, the news is so bad around you. You don't know what to make sense out of what, right? You just don't know what's happening around you. So that was really tough. Like, and anxiety continued. Yeah, I still, you know, like it told me a lot more about me, about myself, because you are in the house for a year because of lockdown, and then you have COVID, and then you oscillate. So I think it was a too longer a stretch for me, and I spoke to them all, and they all were anxious. We all were just. It was like it's like doom. It's like an apocalypse is happening around us, and we can't do anything about it. And everybody's parents are sick, and you are sick, and yeah, it was. It induces a lot of anxiety and stress, like really.
Thanks, Raman, for sharing. It's not easy to go through that again. And just how did you come out of it, or like what kind of help did you seek, or you were fighting on your own?
No, I so in June I got a little better, and I I never took therapy in my life, but I realized that because everybody around me was sick of COVID or was going through the same thing, then you just get tired of talking about the same thing to the same people also, right? Because they're going through the same problem, so there is no end to the problems. You can just tell you guys it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. But then I I seek help from my therapist, Dr. Preeti Singh. You just heard her. Yeah, she has started. She's the founder of the SAP. Also, she's the partner. I seek her help, but I also changed my. I had a little energy. Then I got better. Then I devoted myself to create music again and speak to people and go on walks and get out of the rut that you get stuck because of COVID, and to build your physical strength and do other activities like I would play online games with my friends, try to take my mind off and do a little bit of yoga. I took a session for songwriting for around 80-90 people to collect money for the COVID relief. That also was good to you feel good about yourself. So I kept myself engaged in activities and not to give in to your stress and anxiety, but try to actually, identify it, that this is happening to you, and to identify it and to actually not give in to that, but try to understand that this is happening to you, but it's okay. And also therapy really helps. My therapist really, taught me how to identify these things that trigger the anxiety and the stress and what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. So basically, good mental hygiene. We are never taught that, throughout our lives, I guess, in our country, but it's so important. So I started doing that, take care of my mental hygiene and what things affect me, what not, and also to deal with myself and to and take it one day at a time, not to think much in the future, which I still do, but trying to understand your brain and understand your patterns, and professional help really helps. That's what I understood. This is who I am, this is how I react to things, and this is what I do. But I'm still doing it. I'm still in the process of dealing with it.
Thanks, Raman, and I do agree. During my own struggles, I think meditation and yoga and talking to people really help. And the thing is that it's around us. It's somehow that we don't want to cross that boundary. But anyway, just the last question from my side before we open it to our audience. What's your thought process, or what do you would like to convey to our audience about the importance of mental health in general, and especially after COVID?
Like I have, for the last 10 years, I have lived a life where you are just traveling and playing shows and then come back home and make music. And it was so busy all the time, especially the last 5 years. I never actually thought about mental health in my life at all. Really, I did not. And I think that also has played on all of us. A lot of people that we never thought about it, but then suddenly you are put in a lockdown, and then it's a different thing. Like you don't get to go out and don't do that, and then you're falling ill. I think the whole year made me realize how important mental health is for an individual, and it's how important mental hygiene is. And I can only say that instead of avoiding how your brain functions, like instead of avoiding I think difficult things about yourself to talk to people. I think it is more easier when you actually discuss it with people around you or a professional and tell them what you really think, because I don't think that is being taught to us. That has been taught that it's an important thing in our families. Okay, mental health is very, very important, but I really think that is now it is the most important thing for me. If I want to function and I want to function, I need to take care of it. I have to make efforts to take care of it. I need to know what triggers me, and I think everybody should know, and everybody should care about it. Now there are apps like Listen, and there are other apps. There are tons of articles about mental health, and I think COVID has probably, I wouldn't say given this, but COVID has made us realize that how important mental health is for all of us. Once you are isolated and once you are left on your own for yourself. And I would like to just say that even if you're going through a tough time, seek out helps, talk to people around you, express yourself. Don't shy away, don't procrastinate it. If you can't handle something, you have to speak to people. If you need professional help, go seek it out. Go seek it. Don't think much about it. Seek it. There are professionals to help us. There are things like Listen that can help people around us. You should seek out. There is help always, and always take. It's going to be better. That's what I told myself. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And it is getting better. I am in a better place right now, big thanks to my friends and professionals and everybody who's helped me. And I just want people to take their mental hygiene seriously, because it's a very important part of how a human functions. I think it's really, really important. And stress causes more, I think, diseases and problems than anything else in this. I think the lives that we live in, and we live really stressful lives.
No, I think there is so refreshing to talk to you. It's like when me and Tarun started working on this, and these are the things which we used to bounce with each other, and it's kind of validation. An entrepreneur definitely needs a validation. I can hand to heart.
Of course, we all do. We all do.
So just one quick question from the audience, Raman. They're talking about, like, you're a celebrity. You talked about, how important the music for you, and before we were chatting, like, this is how you found the purpose of your life. But taking a break from it, from your social life, and focusing on your health and well-being, because sometimes what we feel, right, even like, very small things, like you want to lose weight, but I don't have time. I want to do this, but I don't have time. Now, you run a busy life, you travel so much around, and you have to keep obviously, the voice is your vocation. So when you were going through this, you took a break specifically for your mental well-being. What do you want to say about that?
I think what was happening is, like you get a burnout as a person, as like you never think about these things and you take them for granted. You take your own mental health for granted, and what happens is when the lockdowns were not there or the COVID was not here, we would just ignore all these things, right? We all are. It's not that suddenly your mental health is like this. It has always been like this. You have just not given the time and the space to really identify it, that there is some problem that bothers me. And then the more time you spend in cell alone, the more you realize all these things, that that there is something needs to be addressed. And I took a break because not only COVID has affected everybody's livelihood, it has affected, like, was so used to go out and just travel and play shows and chill with friends and just travel around, and I was never alone like this, right? Even with yourself, you're a social animal. You're just outside. There is no social life now. All the social life now exists on Instagram, and also that is so unreal. I don't believe people like lives on Instagram. It's like there's a pandemic going on and people are posting that. It's very fabricated. I think I would say social construct that is around us, the social media especially, and that also affects a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of artists, how they felt pressurized to post when they don't want to and stuff like that. And I was like, you don't have to, man. You're relevant to yourself, and that's what matters. But I knew I had to take a break from all of this because it was too much, and then COVID happened, and so I'm really happy I did that, and I changed my habits, how I was spending my day, and also I took a little break from music. Although I never took a break from music, I cannot do it, but I would specifically, do exercises that are suggested to me to handle the stress, and I would make sure that I go for walks, long walks. I exercise and I do that. I make sure I do that. I make sure I do breathing exercises. I make sure I did that, and that made me feel better. Like little things can bring a lot of change. That happened to me. That is just I still do that. I still go for walks and I still maintain a healthy schedule, and also I don't engage much in social media now, which is amazing. Which is amazing for me. Like I don't do that, like it's because nothing is happening around outside, and but it's our own responsibility at the end of the day to take care of our mental health. Like we can seek as much help as we want, but it is also comes down to us to how do we take that help and actually implement it. And I think that is what I learned, how to do things specifically to take care of myself and my mental hygiene, and that's what the biggest change I did.
No, I think Raman, thanks. It's really helpful, and few things, if I can pick on your behalf, is we never knew the concept of mental hygiene, right? This is I think this is even for me a new word. Spending so much time on this, but still. And second thing is that this pressure to be always good. Like, I think there is some joke around, right? Your life is not always as good as like it's on a Facebook or Insta, or it's not always as bad as like, on a photo of your driving license. So somewhere we have to be real to ourselves, I think, because you matter, we matter. So Raman, very nice talking to you.
Yeah, you're right. We're not told about the mental hygiene, and those likes are not real, guys. They don't mean anything. But thank you so much, and I wish you, Tarun and Preeti, all the best for listen, and thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be here and share my story and to hear you guys and Preeti and Tarun and your story backstage. So thank you so much, and whoever is watching, hey man, take care of yourself. It's gonna be all right. Speak to your friends, speak to people.
Yeah, maybe in better times you will have this live face-to-face with audience, but this is how it is right now.
Of course.
Yeah. It's so wonderful to talk to you, Raman, and and meet you today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Krishna. Thank you, listen. Thank you.
Yeah. So now I will like to invite Tarun. He's the other founder for Listen, my partner in crime, and he will tell you how Listen can help you on the things which Raman talked about so honestly, so openly. And that's whole our idea is, that we normalize, first of all, the mental health in India, and then personalize it. And that's the step in that direction. And its name is Listen. So with Tarun, let's unveil Listen today to all of you. Welcome, Tarun.
Thanks, Krishna. Thanks. And just hearing Raman, I actually reminisced a little bit about my COVID recovery journey. Thankfully, I got it when things were not as bad as when Raman got it. I got it in March. But you go through a lot of similar things, right? You're staying alone, you're isolated, etc. And that's, that has also been one of the big inputs into the thinking behind Listen, how it should operate, etc. So very quickly, if you're seeking help or if you're looking for mental health solutions, there are a number of solutions out there. And where we think Listen plays is we are not kind of only solving for one part of the problem, right? There are solutions out there that are solving for meditation, that are solving for chatbots, that are solving for journeys. But we believe that the problem has to be solved end to end. You need to start from diagnosis. You need to address, give a solution to the diagnosed problem. And then you need to follow through to make sure that the person is treated, rehabilitated, and can get back on their feet. So the way we've thought about Listen is you start with a diagnosis, and that is where prevention comes in. Based on the diagnosis, everyone, so the diagnosis that we do, and you can experience it on our app, is we will tell you whether you are suffering from anxiety, stress, depression, and what is the severity of that disease. Based on your diagnosis, a customized solution will be created for you. This solution will be delivered through a digital content, which is productized therapy, with the help of our professionals. Professionals like Dr. Preeti, we have a number of other therapists. So a combination of digital plus professionals. And as Krishna said, our aim is, how do we integrate mental health into normal healthcare? And with that, I would like to give you a sneak peek of our app. We'll play the video and then I'll talk through.
Hey there, my very real friend. I'm Emo, your virtual friend. Let me show you around the Listen app. That's where I live most of the time. Let's get some details sorted first, and then let's do this. This is our very own safe space where we can chat about anything under the sun. You know, like how you're doing and stuff. You can even take a quick assessment test that'll help me suggest a wellness journey for you. Of course, at whatever time works for you. This is where things get really interesting. All of these wellness journeys have been curated by professionals. You'll find them really helpful. Don't worry, I'll always have your back. Together, we can keep tracking your progress from time to time. If you're in the mood for just looking around, the content library has some great stuff you can browse. But sometimes you just need to talk to a professional. I get that. I know some great folks that I could help you meet. Trust me, you're gonna love them. I can personally vouch for every one of them. I, of course, am always here if you wanna chat. You know where to find me.
Okay, so what you saw very quickly on that screen was what we are building. So if we can go to the next slide.
Hey there.
So what we have is three major sections of the app. The first one is a chatbot. The chatbot helps users navigate the app, take them to the relevant portions based on their mental state, based on what people are looking for. For example, if someone is coming to the app and wants a quick diagnosis, the first thing that the chatbot will do is give you an assessment. Based on the assessment, based on your answers to the assessment, you will be assessed with what underlying ailment do you have. So for example, Tarun takes the assessment and he's diagnosed with mild stress. Then a mild stress curated journey will be created for Tarun. What a journey, or what we call the wellness plan, is, it is a series of psychological interventions that is done over 9 to 12 days. Every day we ask for 5 to 15 minutes of your time to do these interventions. These interventions are nothing but well-researched, age-old psychological tools that we have productized. These are delivered in the form of audios, videos, journaling, calming exercises, meditations. So whatever is needed for that particular assessment, and what psychologists have been doing in their regular work, we have tried to productize that. In addition to that, we will also have therapists available, because the right form of treatment for any underlying ailment will be a combination of the digital plus the professional. So we will have a number of professionals on our platform whom you can book time with, take treatment from, and use the digital plus the physical journey together. What we also have is a huge content library where we have created content right from scratch. A team of psychologists has actually done that on various topics. For example, COVID. How do you deal with mental health relief post-COVID? There are some tools, there are some assessments. We also have a number of, so for example, if you are worried with stress, what kind of calming exercises you can do? What are some of the practical things that you can take away? And at the end, when you complete a wellness plan, what we will leave you with is a toolkit. Think of it as your discharge summary, right? In the toolkit, you will get actionable inputs that you can use in your daily lives so that you do not fall back into the same patterns which were causing these issues in the first place. So as I said, number of things that we built. We would love for you to come on board and try these. How we are starting, if we can go to the next slide. We have opened up our app through registrations or through a waitlist right now. So you can go to our website, which is www.listen.app, and sign up to get your hands on the beta version of the app. Once you sign up, we will share the link with you. We post the beta version. We will take this live on the Play Store for everyone to be able to download. What we also have is our social media pages where you can visit us, where we will start hosting a lot of this content. Hopefully over the next few days, you start, please share feedback as you go through the beta versions. And we would love for us to be able to help you, in whatever way we can. In the meantime, if you have an urgent need for therapy, and you cannot get on the beta version right away, we have phone numbers which are available on the website where you can call, and if you need immediate urgent help or want to talk to a therapist, you can absolutely do that. So we look forward to all of you trying our app over the next few days, and as we get out of beta, we take this to a much larger audience and hopefully fulfill a need that seems to be growing every day. So with that, if there are, what I will do is give you a quick introduction into who we are. I'm Tarun. I have around 15 years of overall experience. I did my MBA way back from ISB, and I've worked with companies like Uber, ZS, and Oyo since then. My partner in crime, Krishna, he's an engineer from IT Delhi, then a PhD from University of California, and then for some reason also decided to do an MBA from IMA, and has then worked across companies like Flipkart, Uber, and Intel. And what we also have is a great team of medical experts who are working with us and who have helped us get here in terms of the content that we have, the journeys that we have built. And the way this app has been built on inputs from all these folks. You will see we have psychologists, both adult and children. We have psychiatrists who have helped us. We have neurologists. We have people from gynecology, general practitioners, people with specialization in addiction medicine, etc. So we've kind of taken all the inputs and have done our best to kind of build a solution which offers high quality help to people who need them. With that, I would also like to invite Krishna back so that we have a couple of minutes left. We can take any questions that are out there.
Hi, sir. So there is one question. Listen, as you talked, was an issue-based solution. So could you kind of, throw some light on that?
Sure. So Krishna, should I take it?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So when we talk about an issue-based solution, an issue-based solution is which starts with the diagnosis first and identifies the issue that anyone suffers from. So for example, let us take the example of stress. Rather than giving a generic solution to anyone who has any sort of mental issue, what we are doing is we start with a diagnosis, diagnose your exact issue, and then customizes our solution for that exact issue. The solution for stress is very different from solution for anxiety. In fact, the solution for mild stress is actually very different from severe stress. So the way we've created our solution is depending on the underlying issue and its severity, a customized journey on the digital side, and then customized interventions with our therapists. That combination will help treat this in an issue-based manner, the way it should be treated.
That was nice, sir. And sir, for KV sir, I have a question. So do digital health interventions increase reach and access to groups and people less well served by traditional mental health services? So for example, people with depression, people in rural areas, etc.
Yeah, Vandit, I think that's the premise. Listen trying to solve these 6 A's across the mental health value chain. 1 A is awareness. Another A is acceptance. Third A is anonymity. We have still a lot of social stigma. Fourth A is access. Fifth A is affordability. And sixth A is assurance, which stands for quality. And yes, you are right. There are solutions, there are people, but just moving out of your own home, reaching to someone, first of all, finding that someone. So access and anonymity becomes a much bigger problem. And I think the digital solutions like Listen can really help bridging that gap, because if you are sitting in some tier 2, I come from a smaller town. I grew up in places like Muzaffarnagar, Meerut, Vrindavan, right? And if there is, let's say, for example, like Dr. Preeti Singh is here in Gurgaon. Now coming all the way from, let's say, even Meerut to Gurgaon, it takes like 4 or 5 hours, and you have to open yourself and people will ask you, where are you going? And hence the whole idea is that if you can make that access closer, right? And the way we are trying to do is some solutions that we are bringing to make it more affordable. So that also helps, because just one therapy will not help you. Raman shared with us, like, his journey was there. In addition to it, you also need to have some physical interventions. You need to be in a good place. So mental and physical hygiene need to work. And then in this stone and age where, like, truly everything can be consumed on mobile phone and so much consumption is happening on the mobile phone, we are seeing uptake of digital, even in tier 3 towns or even in smaller villages. I come from very small town, or small village actually in Western UP. And when I go there, people watch YouTube, and WhatsApp is so common. So there is definitely a lot of acceptance of digital. And our thought process is that utilize that digital, marry the important things that are coming out from physical piece, and then deliver it to Listen. So we are very confident that solutions like Listen can really help in democratizing, normalizing, and personalizing mental health.
That's great, sir. Sir, I have one more question in the chat, and that is, how accurate is the question-based diagnostic tool of Listen?
I'll let Tarun take it.
Yeah, so we have not developed our own tools or our own IP for this. We are using tools that have been standardized and delivered to millions of people globally. So the tools that we use are certified and used by the American Psychological Association. They are used by psychologists in India. And KV, being a PhD, and we are very, very clear that no, we will not use anything which is not standardized and has already been tested for millions of people, if not more. And that's why the tools that we are using are fairly accurate, global, and standardized, from years and years of use.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's listen and talk about it, and let's finally solve it. Thank you, everyone.